On a morning show today from WRCO Radio, we're going to talk about health and wellness, one of our favorite subjects on the morning show. And we have from the Richland Hospital today, we have dietitians Lindsay Hatfield, Kelly Herbert, and Ty Mulholland. And we're talking about an upcoming wellness workshop. Ty, you're kind of the veteran of this group, so we'll start with you.
Thank you, Phil.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And you have lots of things to talk about in terms of the new year. I mean, you're kind of the voice of the Richland Hospital, right? You're on their commercials.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things coming up here in the new year.
Yes, absolutely. And we're really excited about the program that we have going with our department as far as the wellness workshop. Being a diabetes educator, we see people once they're diagnosed with diabetes, but really the community goal is to prevent people from having to develop diabetes. One of the problems, Medicare and Medicaid do not reimburse for pre-diabetes nutrition education or wellness. And so we've done a few community things in the past. Before COVID, we had a diabetes prevention and support program that was a peer-run program. We've done some individual education with a couple of group programs, but we just haven't had anything sustainable really from the hospital where we can help people actually prevent diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is preventable more than 50% of the time. So this is an opportunity to, not have to come to Diabetes Ed with Ty or Grace.
Nothing surprises me in terms of insurance, but you do get a free checkup every year. I'm surprised that they aren't more proactive and support those kind of things.
Yes, 100%. It's a proven benefit. There are some online diabetes prevention things we've encouraged in the past. Wisconsin Healthy Aging, WEHA has some programs, but a lot of people just like in-person opportunities to improve their health and wellness, and you really do need the support component in something like this. I always think of New Year's resolutions. How many of us set a New Year's resolution? I'm going to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever this year. And we just know that, statistically speaking, a lot of people do not follow through. Lindsay was really good at digging out some statistics. And, it's kind of 10 to 20% of people actually succeed with New Year's resolutions. And so why is that? And that support component is huge. Another part of it is, how do you fit change into your life? Just because you want to lose 5 to 10 pounds and you set that goal, what's your plan to do it? You need strategies to succeed, and dietitians are big on helping and supporting strategies to succeed.
Yeah, I think people get discouraged because I think the average date for falling back on your New Year's resolution is like January 13th or something like that.
And we're beyond that already.
And
so if you're sitting out there now and you're like, oh yeah, that was me. I was one of those that didn't succeed. This is an opportunity to help you reach your goals.
Right. And preventing. Further health things.
Yes, they say that a small weight loss, 5 to 7% of weight loss, can prevent diabetes over 50% of the time. And then there's also your risk of heart disease. There's so many chronic illnesses, certain cancers, blood pressures related to weight, lots of chronic diseases that we can help prevent with just some small weight loss.
It's so tough, in this time. January is a long month, and then you get into weather like we're going to have in the next 2 days. I mean, people hunker down. It's tough, isn't it?
It is, and when I see people on a regular basis, I look at their weight histories, and we'll see that fluctuation, down in the summer, up in the winter. Sometimes it doesn't go back down in the summer. So then, every year you've tacked on another 5 pounds, and all of a sudden, you're 50 pounds overweight, and it's so intimidating at that point.
You talk about the wellness workshop and why you think it's important for the community.
Yes, it is an opportunity, very low cost. We have it set at $40. We have 5 sessions. Every other week, we're going to start February the 4th. We end on April Fool's Day. That was just kind of fortuitous, but but it's an opportunity to spend that, those 2 months making small changes, discussing what worked, what didn't work, being in a group setting, having experts leading the class where you can talk through different things, a variety of things. We're not just going to talk food in that class. One of the really exciting things we've had that we've never done before is we have a Tanita body scale, and we're going to do a body analysis on day 1 on February the 4th, and then we're going to go through the 2 months, and then you get another opportunity to do that body composition again at the end of that and to see what benefits you've made.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So you can see the progress.
Exactly.
Hopefully,
Yes.
But just going is progress, right?
Yes, 100%.
Let's talk to your staff. You got a fine staff at the hospital,
I have an
don't you?
excellent staff. I'm very fortunate.
And let's talk to Lindsay and Kelly, who are here as well. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Tell us about the wellness workshop, first of all, Lindsay, and why you think it's important.
Yeah, the wellness workshop has been an idea that's been on our department's mind for quite a while. Now we've got the time, the support, the staffing to really roll out a community benefit that encompasses a variety of topics. It's been a group effort in terms of the information that the Nutrition and Diabetes Ed departments gathered for it. We've gotten support from our EMT team, the CEO, the CFO, that's like, hey, yes, this is important. Our community wants it. Marketing's been on board, as I'm sure the community has seen with all of their advertising. So that's been really special to promote this event. And even our front desk, our patient access finances, they're all like, hey, how can we help? How can we pitch in to make this our first inaugural program go smoothly so that there can be more to come?
Yeah, that's exciting. The first ground floor level, right?
Yes, and so we've kind of gathered some data from our community needs assessment saying what do the people in Richland County want, what do they need in terms of health, what health topics are they interested in, and that's kind of how we created particular pillars of health for this program. The 5 sessions are all going to have some nutrition component to it because we are, after all, dietitians. But we also look to talk about physical activity, your ways to manage stress, and also sleep, because all of those is a holistic part of your health.
Sure. Let's break that down a little bit. Prevention, Kelly, that's really the key that you're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Ty was saying, there's not a lot of insurance coverage as far as preventative care goes, but there's a lot of things within our control that we can influence to prevent chronic complications down the road.
When you were setting this up, setting the goals and things like that, did you kind of get together as a staff and say, this is what we want to do, this is the outline we want to do?
Yeah, and we also looked at other programs that are already out there and to look at like what kind of topics and pillars that they maintain as lifestyle and nutrition interventions. And also there's just a limited number of things that we have control over, because there's also like genetics and the environment that play a role in our health. And so we just focused on the things that we do have control over and that are evidence-based, that can support overall health and preventing chronic health conditions.
Who would you like to see attend the wellness workshop?
Well, we're kind of marketing it towards a very broad audience, any adult really in the community, but specifically if you have already been diagnosed with prediabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol, this is an opportunity to kind of set yourself on a different trajectory.
Mm-hmm. Even if you don't, you're not on any medicines and you don't have any pre-existing things, it's still not a bad thing to get involved.
Right, yeah, because this is going to be relevant to any human.
Uh-huh.
Any human. We're talking about very basic, foundational things for overall health, and they all kind of tie together too.
Well, Lindsay, Ty mentioned the Tanita scale. So can I find out what weight I can wrestle at then? If I do this, or how does that work?
Well, certainly, especially since it's wrestling season.
Sure.
But yeah, so we've had this machine for a couple of years now, and the Tanita is essentially a body composition analyzer that is not too often offered at a lot of facilities. Sometimes some gyms have a similar type of scale. Other larger hospitals might have broader scales, such as a DEXA, which does a very similar concept where it measures your muscle mass, your fat mass, your bone mass, as well as your total percent of muscle mass and fat mass. And so in addition, it also measures your visceral fat, which we see that research has shown that is more correlated with your higher risk of chronic disease or further complications. So it provides a lot of great information that a lot of community members don't necessarily have the access to. Like you had mentioned, you go to your doctor maybe once a year, and so you don't necessarily have the opportunity to know all these other details aside from stepping on a scale right before you see them. In addition, this is a costly machine at other facilities, so if you do want to know this information, you might have to pay a hefty out-of-pocket fee for that information, whereas with our $40 coverage of this wellness workshop, this Tanita is included in that. And I can tell you out-of-pocket elsewhere, it's over $100 is kind of what some facilities are showing. So just that in and of itself, you get some great information. That way it's not just about a broad general number on a scale. Now you can really focus on, as I'm working on eating better, moving more, is my muscle mass increasing, is my fat mass decreasing? Because those are little wins in of itself too, versus just the number on a scale.
How does the Tanita thing work then? Is it intimidating for somebody to come in and take this or not?
Not at all. And it can be as private as you want it to be too. We can just kind of guide you. You step on, you answer some questions such as what is your sex, what is your height, and your activity level, because it kind of takes that into consideration for some various factors on the ticket that it eventually prints out for you. And we've taken a look at that ticket. It can be a little bit overwhelming, especially for someone who may not understand everything that goes on and everything that it measures. So we have a little cheat sheet too that breaks down what each section means and maybe what sections would be relevant to you and your goals. So super simple, quick process. So we'll go over that in one of our sessions during the wellness workshop too.
And then you can come back to it maybe in a year and see
exactly. That's the intent. So they encourage maybe anywhere from 60 to 90 days between periods of measurement. That way you can actually see some adjustments, because they're getting down to the nitty gritty of things. The number might not move from week to week like you want versus a generic scale. So that's why you give about 2 to 3 months between measurements. And then, of course, over the years, you can really see progress.
So you can set goals in specific areas then?
Exactly. So if you're someone who you may know that you carry a little bit more weight around your abdomen, that visceral fats, and if that's something you want to target because your overall weight number is just overwhelming to you, then you can make a small target goal for decreasing that. Or maybe you've been hitting the gym more or getting more active and you want to see any changes in your muscle mass. That will also reflect on that ticket.
Kelly, we get into nutrition then as well. And, so you have the actual part of the class about the nutrition aspect as well?
Yeah, so we're going to cover basic nutrition, talk about the food groups, what they each have to offer, and we're also going to be pretty heavy on talking about eating healthy on a budget, because we know the cost of food is going up, the cost of everything is going up, so we're anticipating that that's going to be a relevant topic for most people. And I'm also really excited to just have this be a group setting and problem solve together. I'm sure that there's going to be people in the class that have really good ideas that we wouldn't have thought of, and that we can take advantage of that social dynamic too, of just being together in a group with similar goals.
Holding each other accountable as a group, sometimes that comes into play too, doesn't it?
Yeah, the accountability of this being an every other week class, that it's something you can look forward to and put on your calendar as, scheduling in your own self-care. But yeah, I think the accountability and also the social support that you're not alone doing this. Some people are in families that maybe they're the only one that is thinking about these kinds of things, and this is a place where you can come where we all agree that our health is important and that we're wanting to make positive changes.
Mm-hmm. How do you anticipate the group's going to work then? Just kind of some sharing from each people or each person there, I should say? Or
Yeah, we don't really want it to feel like a lecture, that we will be sharing information, but we want to have space for conversation and also activities, make it a little bit fun, maybe some games. So I think it'll be a good balance of different kinds of things without it feeling like a class.
A positive social get-together then, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's the goal.
We wanted to delve a little bit deeper into nutrition. Lindsay, I know you kind of wanted to talk about that, and now that it's 2026, about eating healthy and more of a balanced diet.
Yes, so about the time that this class will start in a couple of weeks, we'll also be flowing into National Nutrition Month in March, so that's a great time to really dive into nutrition. But what's great, that even though we're talking about different topics, physical activity, stress management, sleep, we realize that nutrition has a strong relationship with each of those, lots of different integration. So, of course, we want to give a great foundation of nutrition. People are signing up knowing that dietitians are leading this class, but we also want to make sure that we emphasize each person's interest. We may not know why they're there, if they're just curious, interested in information, if they're looking for a particular topic, maybe they've got some baseline knowledge, maybe they don't have any knowledge at all. So we're trying to keep it generalized to speak to a broad population, but still kind of give them something that they can take with, whether it's just one thing or multiple things. And that will really kind of help them then make lifestyle changes and habits.
Portion sizes, smaller plates, things like that, right?
Of course, yep. We'll go through the different food groups and enlighten them on how each one impacts their body and ways that we can incorporate them into a balanced diet. Weight is one of those common themes that everyone has interest in managing. So strategies on how to reach your goals, whether it is weight management, whether it's I want to improve my lab values. Someone comes in with higher cholesterol. Maybe they want to improve their blood pressure. So it's nutrition related to cardiac health. They have prediabetes or want to prevent any type of prediabetes or diabetes. So we have nutrition in terms of how do we combat any further progression, in addition to really breaking down the food label too, because that has an overwhelming amount of information that any shopper in the store might look at and be like, yeah, I'm not going to read that, or I don't understand that, or how are we supposed to know how to even apply that information? So we definitely dive into that. So there's a little bit of just general nutrition for chronic disease management, treatment, prevention, and then also like Kelly had said, some fun facts, fun games to keep it really engaging, interactive, and so it sticks in your head.
It's frustrating, though. I mean, I don't want to spend any more time at the grocery store than I have to. You don't want to sit there and reading every label, right?
Yes, so we kind of break down to make this realistic living to where it's not overwhelming. So if it's a certain nutrient you want to focus on, food you want to focus on, there's little tidbits that I have in part of the presentation is how can you add to your diet versus subtract for a healthier lifestyle. So if reading the food label and trying to make all these changes is overwhelming, just stick to one thing. Maybe you want to incorporate more fiber into your diet, or maybe you're trying to monitor that sodium. So that's what you pay attention to on a food label. And then these tools, you can kind of build off of them. We're hoping, depending on how well this first program goes, to continue to build for future programs so you can kind of continue to use this knowledge. It's an evolving science, so there's always going to be some new tips and tricks out there. So we're hoping that this is a good baseline foundation.
Tough, though, if your friends invite you to go out to eat, Kelly, and, kind of tough to know to make those selections when you go out on the town, too, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think because going out to eat can feel celebratory and special, and I think that's an important aspect of it to keep and maintain. So there's some things that you can do to avoid overdoing it, because we know that restaurants tend to serve larger portions. They're concerned about their food tasting really good. That's their job. So oftentimes they can be higher in calories too. So some things you could keep in mind is maybe skipping an appetizer or having water instead of a soda or an alcoholic beverage, and just keeping it to the entree. Some people will ask for the what is it called? The container where you take food home?
Sure, take home. I used to call it a doggy bag.
The doggy bag. You can ask for that container to come with your entree and put half of it in there right away to take home for lunch the next day. So I know if you're anything like me, if it's in front of me, I'm going to keep nibbling on it. So you can just put half of it away right away. You could split an entree with someone. Or I've gone out to eat where the table gets a dessert and everybody gets a few bites, so then you still get to enjoy that special treat, but in more of a moderate portion.
I like how you say that, though, because I think we can all relate to that. If it's in front of us, we're going to nibble. I mean, you guys are there not to be judgmental. I mean, you know what people are thinking and what they're going through, right?
Yeah, we're also humans that eat every day and enjoy comfort foods and desserts and things too.
And with this weather coming up, comfort food is like needed sometimes.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, because when we're talking about the food groups, we'll get into like the fruits and vegetables and what's in season this time of year. And a lot of the vegetables that are in season this time of year in Wisconsin are more hardy and starchy, but they're still very nutritious. Like if you think of like potatoes and carrots and sweet potatoes and rutabagas, and they're full of fiber, full of nutrition, and they're also very comforting because of those starches. And
I think we've talked about it on this program before, but I'll quiz you a little bit, because people are going to ask you about special diets. It seems like there's a new one coming down the pike all the time. And Lindsay, if there's one that maybe you're supposed to eat all meat, I mean, that's out there and those kind of things. How do you respond to that? What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, certainly there's conflicting messages about what you should eat or what you're supposed to eat, what you should not eat. And part of this class is to really not necessarily debunk diets, but help provide a good overview and understanding of nutrition and how it's very individualized, and how here's the tools and knowledge of nutrition and how it can work for your diet and lifestyle. Everyone's got personal things, whether it's health related, whether it's accessibility, affordability. So we don't think that there's like a diet fits all approach. It's more of, we can provide you the information and the tools to help with your diet. Diet is not necessarily a structured meal plan. It's more of a way of eating. So that's kind of what we want to emphasize.
That word diet, though, sometimes it's a red flag, isn't it? Some people? Sometimes
it can have like a negative connotation to it. We really want to share that it's a way of eating, and that can be different for everyone. Hence why this program will cover a lot of different topics. Certainly, we are more than welcome to open up conversations and questions in terms of what people have seen out there as far as headlines go, taglines, new information, new science, what's myth, what's fact. We are there to help support them and give them evidence-based knowledge to help guide their decisions.
And physical activity, that's probably, I don't know about New Year's resolutions, but that might have been one of the number ones, was to just be more active, right?
I'm sure it is. And especially now, like you had mentioned, with this weather coming up, the cold, it's probably more attractive to stay inside and bundle up, but we really encourage kind of movement. That's why we are including it in the wellness workshop, because nutrition plays such an important role in physical activity and vice versa. There's 150 minutes recommended a week, a combination of doing strength training, body resistance exercises, but also movement that builds your endurance, heart health and lung health. So you're walking, you're jogging, swimming, biking, things like that. So we'll talk about tips and strategies in the wellness workshop too, and what to do when it's negative 40 degrees outside. How can you continue to stay active when motivation feels low, trying to build that discipline, trying to build that bigger purpose and goal for your physical activity.
I think one thing that is a benefit is keeping track of your steps sometimes. I think people sometimes, I only took this many. Sometimes that might help you, motivate you, right?
Yes, exactly. Kind of having some type of record or some baseline data. So like that Tanita, that's certainly some baseline data. Or where are you at now and where would you like to be? In the initial session of the wellness workshop, not to give away too much, but we certainly want to talk about goal setting and why it's important to create goals that are smart. You're specific, you're measurable, are they achievable and realistic, and then given a time frame. So like you said, maybe it's someone tracking their steps and they want to get to a certain step limit. And so that's a great way to kind of measure your progress. So progress tracking is going to be super important, hence why we have some baseline data in the beginning of the workshop and some at the end too, to kind of see your progress of both knowledge and maybe physicality during that.
Wellness workshop coming up. We'll come back on the morning show and talk a little bit about the event at the Richland Hospital. Thanks to Kelly and Ty and Lindsay for coming in today. We might even have them analyze Henry Bray's diet late night, but we'll see about that if we have time on the morning show coming up. On the morning show today, we're talking about the upcoming wellness workshop at the Richland Hospital. Dietitians Lindsay Hatfield, Kelly Herbert, and Ty Mulholland are here. We're kind of breaking down what you can be a part of with this wellness workshop, which starts coming up in the near future. Kelly, we wanted to talk a little bit about stress management. I think that's very important. What would you like to say about that?
Well, I guess what I'd say about that is it's kind of intertwined with all of the other topics that we're touching on, because we're all going to experience stress in life. That's just the reality. And it can influence our ability to eat well or get active. So managing stress can influence our other health behaviors, and our other health behaviors can influence how well we can withhold the pressure of stress too. For example, like physical activity is probably the number one recommendation for stress management. So it's all intertwined.
Go out and walk it off then, in other words, right?
Yeah, physical activity also helps with sleep, which is another topic we'll talk on as well. But yeah, there's different kinds of stress. Not all stress is bad. Stress is kind of just the regular pressures of life, but when it becomes too much or for too long or and becomes chronic, it can start to have negative effects on blood sugars, blood pressure, our heart health, our mental health. So we'll touch on some just basic things that we can do to help build our resilience towards stress and have it have a less of an effect on our overall health.
Sometimes putting the phone down or some kind of electronic device, that's pretty key too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, like managing the content that you're consuming from digital devices is definitely, I should write that down as being part of the conversation. That can also impact sleep. I know I have that as part of our sleep conversation is when and how much and the timing and the content of the media we consume and how that can impact our stress levels and our sleep.
Now, I've had people tell me that, just kind of reading the news, and all of a sudden, their stress level goes up.
Yeah, I mean, the news is hardly good, especially these days. But I think there's ways, because we don't want to be having our heads in the sand either. Right. But I think the timing and of when you look at the news or how often or for how long can make a big difference. So maybe not right before bed.
Ah, sure. Well, no screen time before bed, right? Don't they usually say that?
Yeah. Ideally, you want to have at least an hour of screen-free time before bed. Maybe doing something like reading, listening to an audiobook, doing a little craft, or hanging out with family, because that the light from the screen can delay melatonin from being released, which I think most of us are familiar with melatonin being the hormone that helps us feel sleepy. And that's regulated by sunlight, but it can be disrupted by artificial light. And when you're looking at your phone or TV or computer, that artificial light delays the onset of our natural melatonin, which can make it harder to fall asleep.
How many hours of sleep should we be getting a night?
On average, for most adults, 7 to 9 hours. And everybody's going to maybe feel a little bit better on one end or the other of that range. But yeah, that's on average what we want to be aiming for.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to try and get the same amount every night, right?
That can be helpful for getting good sleep, is having a regular bedtime and time that you wake up, even on the weekends. I know that's, I know I don't always do that, but it can make it easier to fall asleep because our bodies have these internal clocks and that are determine when certain hormones are released that make us alert and awake, and like melatonin that we talked about, that makes us more calm and drowsy. So if we have a more consistent schedule, we can work with those hormones and have an easier time falling asleep.
That's so tough, though, in this day and age. You know, people work all kinds of crazy hours, or they're on call and those kind of things. So just trying to get good sleep when you get the chance, right?
Yeah, I definitely sympathize with people that are working third shift or swing shift, or have young kids. In that case, you have to work with the schedule that you have and get good sleep when you can.
Does nutrition come into play with sleep as well?
That's a good point. Caffeine, obviously. We don't want to be having that too late in the day. Not everybody's as sensitive to caffeine as other people, but that can disrupt sleep. Alcohol can also, and also just having like a big meal too close to bedtime can disrupt sleep because of indigestion.
What about medications for sleep?
That I don't know a lot about. And we probably won't touch on that in the class.
Yeah.
But that would be a good conversation. Like if you're trying all these things that we are talking about in the wellness workshop for sleep, and you're still struggling with like restless leg syndrome or insomnia, or if you snore at night and you suspect you might have sleep apnea, that would be an excellent conversation to have with your doctor to get more tools on board so that you can get good sleep at night. So many important things happen when we're sleeping. It's not just passive rest. Our body's doing really important work when we're sleeping.
You have a good sleep clinic that you can consult with as well at the hospital, too.
Yes, that's true.
I've done it myself. So let's talk about 2026, looking ahead and, kind of making, we started with resolutions, Lindsay, but, kind of taking those steps forward to be positive. What are some things that you suggest?
Yeah, I think anytime we begin a new year, we always have this positive mindset. We have these goals that we want to start and accomplish maybe by the end of the year, or just basically just start. Maybe there's trips coming up that you're excited to, or programs that are happening that you're excited to join or be a part of. So I think 2026 can be a refreshing year for some people, hence why we wanted to start this wellness workshop early enough in the year to kind of make you feel like you've got life by the reins and that you can really start something fresh, learn something new, and apply it to your life.
Maybe a cooking class?
We're hoping that'd be an awesome community benefit. I know just speaking sometimes in some of the schools or with other programs in the community, that the art of cooking is lost at times, especially in busy lives, because you're relying on what's quick, what's easy, what's already pre-made, which is totally okay at some point, but also cooking can bring some stress relief. Cooking can bring some social time with family and friends. Cooking can bring the ability to control what your food is made of and what's going into your recipes, which can benefit your health. So certainly, hopefully cooking classes in the future can be a thing, especially, it was once before COVID, so hopefully now we can kind of roll that out too.
Yeah, awesome. And there are so many cooking shows and things that you can follow and try to do it yourself at home, right?
Yes, I always have a cooking show or a cooking competition on at the house, and my poor husband has probably seen the same episode like 5 times, but you learn something new each time you watch it, or it's just a great challenge. I'm also someone who hoards cooking books, and again, he's probably wondering, why do I have all these books on the shelves that I pull out once in a blue moon? But it's just really something that is close to heart and something that you can experiment. Cooking's meant to be fun, not a burden. So we're hoping to also incorporate that into that wellness workshop too.
Sure. And do you have goals for this year? Some things that you would like to see done?
In terms of cooking, or in terms of just
in terms of the dietary department and things like that? Did you go out and do you speak to people and things like that?
Yes, especially now again with the ability to have the staffing in order to do more in the community and have the support of the hospital, who is putting it as more of a priority to be involved in the community. We're hoping to, again, continue our relationship with schools of all different levels, from elementary to high school, certainly with the athletes too, because not only is adolescence an important time to learn about nutrition and apply nutrition habits, there's that fun relationship between exercise and good eating and how that plays a role. And then, of course, maybe in the past they've done grocery store tours. We have our lovely Walmart here that's now that it's changed and updated, which is great, it can still be overwhelming for some shoppers. So trying to navigate how to shop smart, how to shop on a budget, how to shop for healthy options for simple meals. So definitely lots to come in the community in terms of our nutrition and diabetes ed department. And then, of course, we're always brainstorming new innovative ways to share nutrition out there.
We talked a lot about the wellness workshop, but maybe you, Kelly, you can give us a little bit of an insight of when it's going to be, the time of day it's going to be, and everything.
Yeah, so like Ty said earlier in the show, the first session is February 4th. That's that first Wednesday next month. And we'll start at 4 that day, and then every other Wednesday from there, starting at 4:30. And it'll last about an hour. So 4:30 to 5:30 every other Wednesday.
Not much of a time commitment then.
Right, that was intentional because we wanted it to be a time that people could make it if they're coming from work, but not have it be too long where they're then stressed about how they're going to get dinner on the table before they're home. So 4:30 to 5:30 is kind of every other Wednesday is kind of what we landed on for that.
Ty, you've been silent for a while over here, but you've listened to the conversation. Anything you want to add to it today?
I would just say our program is a sign-up program. We do have limited space because we are going to use the Tanita. There is the time factor. So I would encourage anyone interested. There's a couple of ways to sign up. You can go to richlandhospital.com on the website, and there's a registration form on there. And you can also call the hospital at 647-6321. And our direct extension is 2480, and we can take your name and number down.
Okay. You don't want to think that dietitians are just, buzzkills, bummers, because you guys probably eat some comfort foods from time to time, don't you?
We do. We're a fun bunch, Phil. You should know that.
Well, I would think you are, right.
Absolutely.
What's your go-to, though, is as far as a comfort food?
For me? Oh, let's see. I'm kind of a dark chocolate fan.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that always makes me happy.
Uh-huh.
I usually have a little chai tea in the morning, and that always makes me happy, especially hot in this winter cold.
The key is what you put in it, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't put a lot of sugar in there. I'm careful of that. And I get my milk in there, so that's good for me. And tea is good for you. So, yeah, we definitely eat from all food groups. Lindsay's a great bread maker. She's made some awesome chocolate chip muffins one time. So we eat from all food groups. I think that's the thing about dietitians. It's that moderation and what we're emphasizing. And a lot of times when we do diet recalls, we see starches and meat and processed foods. So, we're just kind of looking, where's your fruits and vegetables? Where's your dairy? We want your fibers. We want you to eat that well-rounded diet so you get all those nutrients that you need just from eating without having to look for a lot of supplements.
Mm-hmm. Do you still say 3/4 of your plate for veggies, or is that?
I use a half of my plate for veggies and a quarter for starch and carb food, and then a quarter for your protein food.
Okay, good. Ladies, what about your comfort foods? Lindsay?
Oh, pretty much anything. Well, I have a sweet tooth, so I do like to bake, but something that can kind of help that is baking it yourself from scratch. That way you can manipulate the recipe in different ways or try something here and there. I'm trying to perfect the best chocolate chip cookie, which might take me, I'm on like 3 years and lots of recipes. So that's always fun to experiment that way. But yeah, it's, come winter time, anything cooked in a Dutch oven or a crock pot is also fun and comforting.
Yeah, good call. What about you, Kelly?
Well, I'd like to say that we also both really like Cheez-It crackers.
Yeah, good call.
It's a joke in our department, yes. Somebody might have got a Cheez-It ornament for Christmas one year.
My cat loved playing with that on the tree.
Cheez-Its. Goldfish crackers, too? Are they?
Nope, it's got to be a
Specifically
Cheez-It.
Cheez-Its.
There's something
Original.
about them.
Oh,
Original, or for me, white cheddar.
They're so cheesy, right? Yeah.
Salty,
We were going to have you analyze Hank's cooking. Let me see. Last week it was Trailer Park Cream to Hank. Sleeve of saltine crackers, peanut butter or cream cheese, sugar, white, brown, white or brown, butter, real, splash of milk or coffee creamer, and chocolate chips. And he puts this all together and...
I'd be curious to know the directions of that because that sounds like a wide variety of ingredients that I'm trying to piece together.
Well, he crushes the crackers.
Sounds like my college room cabinet.
It's like what's left when you haven't been to the grocery store.
Sure. The only thing he left out was ramen noodles, I think. He doesn't have those in there. But the other thing is, he says if it happens, Ty, at 2:30 in the morning, that it doesn't count for calories.
I think Hank might be wrong on that one. And I think Hank should be sleeping at 2:30 in the morning.
He should. And again, we talked about getting good sleep. Maybe Hank needs to go to the wellness workshop.
Yes,
then, right?
I think Hank would be a fun addition to the wellness workshop.
Yeah. Well, be careful what you wish for. So. I'll loan him the $40 though. I think we can do that. What about the Super Bowl coming up there? Do you have any ideas for like some Super Bowl appetizers? I think wings that came in as number 1 in a recent survey. But
yeah, I think that Super Bowl is exciting for me because if the Detroit Lions aren't in it, then I'm more excited about the food and hosting and getting to make a wide variety. I did hear you this morning that the wings were number 1.
Yes.
Also, other options were, again, more of your savory treats, whether it's your pizza bites, your loaded potatoes. As a white elephant gift a couple years ago, I received a football-shaped crock pot, so I'll be making something in that, some type of dip, which I think is also another staple. But I like to balance that out with a good old-fashioned veggie tray. I feel like, that's something that's easy to munch on, that kind of breaks up all the other maybe salty, heavy dishes. That's light and refreshing.
veggie trays are good. I got you. But it's what you dip them in, though, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
Right, exactly. Kelly, do you have any ideas?
I'm not a football person, but I would say like a lot of those rich dips that you do have for the Super Bowl, you can use the veggies from the veggie tray and get the best of both worlds. You still get the fiber and the nutrients from the veggies, and you get to enjoy those, buffalo chicken dip, those really rich, creamy dips.
Yeah, buffalo chicken and buffalo. Yeah, that's kind of the hot topic right now, literally. Ty, anything else you wanted to add?
Probably not for Super Bowl. Nope. I think that's probably one of those special occasions, that just, as long as you don't repeat it every day sort of thing, it's kind of like it can't be your birthday every day. You kind of have to think how often these special occasions are happening and how much do you need to modify something because of that.
True. Well said. All right. Well, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate you, ladies. And again, the wellness workshop gets underway next week. Still time to register, Ty, right?
Yes, just call the hospital and ask for us, or go to the hospital website and you can register on there. We're about half full for our class right now, and so we will take a waiting list if we get more people, because we do want this to be an ongoing program, and we plan to adjust based on what we learned from the first class.
Well, I think it's a good thing, and I think that you guys will make it fun. That's the other key, too. You know, it shouldn't be too intimidating. I think you guys are going to be having a good time here, right?
Yes, we'll be sure to make it memorable, both with information retention, but also lasting memories and maybe some new friends out there in the community.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you very much. That's Lindsay Hatfield, Kelly Herbert, and Ty Mulholland talking about the upcoming wellness workshop at the Richland Hospital.